Correct.
Did you ever take possession of that juice bottle?
I did not collect the juice bottle.
I'm going to show Defense Exhibit AB. It's a photo, Judge.
No, I think the best way to do it is just BB.
Oh.
Bravo, Bravo.
Okay.
And then it would be CC, etc.
Got it. Okay. Okay. So
Thank you.
BB, this is a photo that was taken of that juice bottle. In fact, the whole photo is of only that juice bottle, essentially. Did you take that photo?
No. I believe LAPD photographer took it.
So looking at the previous photo, you might have taken that photo.
Yes.
But you don't think you took that one?
I don't think so, no.
BB.
Indicating BB.
Yes. And once again, you were the only person that collected evidence at the scene, to your knowledge?
On the 25th, yes.
All right. Thank you, Judge. That's all I have.
Mr. Chernoff, thank you. Redirect examination. Mr. Walgren?
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Fleak showing you. Well, it doesn't show up in this picture. Defense BB, this naked juice bottle. You don't believe you did take this picture, or you do not recall?
I don't remember.
Okay. It's a tropical juice, according to the label.
Yes.
Now, Ms. Fleak, are there a number of areas or a number of documents as part of the coroner's investigative file in which you document both your observations and your findings during an investigation?
Yes.
Okay. And you use the investigator's narrative as one such document?
That is.
And what is that for?
That is an overall description of the scene. It is not an in detail, every single piece of evidence is described. There's an evidence log where the evidence
Okay, hang on. So that's the investigator's narrative,
Yes.
which is an overall description, or...
Yes.
Okay. Now, okay, then there's another document called an evidence log.
Yes.
What is that?
That is where things are itemized and logged into our laboratory or evidence section at the coroner's office.
Okay. And then defense counsel referenced case notes. What are case notes?
Case notes are it's a Word document that is attached to every case where additional information for a case can be added.
Okay. And you referenced, I think it was called a 3A form. What is a 3A form?
The 3A is the medical evidence form that will detail out the medical evidence collected at a scene.
Okay.
Versus physical evidence or trace evidence.
And then, for example, in this case, on your inventory of the bags on 62909, you had handwritten notes itemizing what was found within each bag?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Now, in any handwritten notes you had from 6/25/2009, those were then taken from the handwritten notes and put into essentially these investigative narratives or the evidence log or the case notes or the 3A forms?
Yes, it was.
Depending on where the information was applicable?
Correct.
Okay. And, for example, when you're asked about the IV stand with the saline bag and the IV tubing and syringe, You observed that on June 25th, 2009, is that right?
I did.
Okay. And you had it photographed on June 25th, 2009?
Yes.
Okay. And prior to returning to the house on June 29th, 2009, you indicated in your case notes dated June 27th, you provided a description and accounting of that IV stand and the what you'd observed, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then returned on 6/29/2009, at which time you took custody of the saline bag, the IV tubing, and the syringe, and took it into coroner's evidence as medical evidence number 2.
Correct.
Now I want to ask you about people's, what's been marked people's 29 and 30, the cut open saline bag and the 100 milliliter bottle of propofol. You actually testified on January 7th, 2011 at the preliminary hearing under oath regarding finding this propofol bottle, people's 30, inside of the saline bag, people's 29, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So when counsel said the first indication you made of that was in March 2011, it was actually January 7th, 2011, under oath in this hearing when you were first asked about that.
Correct.
Okay. And when you were asked about it, you indicated that the bottle had been found inside the saline bag.
Yes.
Okay. Now, why didn't you, well, did you photograph People's 30, the 100 milliliter propofol bottle, inside of People's 29, the saline bag, as you found it?
No.
Why not?
I photographed it as we were taking items out of the bag, and as I took things out, I was looking at them and figuring out what was what. As I took the bottle out of the saline bag to see if it was propofol, what drug, to see what it was, and then I set it down on top of the bag, as in the photo, and that's the first photo taken.
Okay. So you could have taken People's 30. Well, to be clear, so you removed People's 30 from People's 29 so you could see what People's 30 was.
Correct.
Okay. And then you laid People's 30 on top of People's 29 as shown in the photograph previously referenced and took a photograph.
Counsel's leading is waiting.
Sustained.
Did you lay People's 30 on top of People's 29?
Yes, I did, after I removed it.
Okay. And was there, let me retrieve that evidence item. Well, we have one moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
Ms. Fleak, showing you what was earlier marked People's 28. Is there a reason this was specifically photographed together? In other words, with the propofol bottle laying on top of the cut open saline bag?
Because I had just taken it out of there and did not photograph it when it was in there.
Okay. But did you intentionally put the propofol bottle on top of the saline bag because those two items were found together?
Leading as witness.
The objection is sustained.
Did you intentionally have those items photographed together as depicted in People's 28?
Asked and answered.
Overruled. You may answer it.
Yes, I did.
And why did you intentionally have those items photographed together as reflected in People's 28?
Because they were found together with one inside of the other.
Okay. And we could resume with the lights, please. And to be fair, you could have taken People's 30, the propofol bottle, and inserted it back into People's 29, the saline bag. Is that right?
I could have.
For purposes of photographing it?
Sure, I could have, but I didn't.
Okay. In the same preliminary hearing testimony from January of 2011, you also described that the syringe was found without a needle on the nightstand, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you testified at that time in January 2011 that the needle on the floor had no connection one way or another to the syringe to your own personal knowledge.
Right.
Okay. And in March 2011, did you meet with myself and Dr. Rogers, the coroner, the medical doctor and coroner on this case, to view some of these items of evidence?
Yes.
Okay.
Your Honor, may we approach?
Yes? Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Ms. Fleak, I was asking, you testified at the preliminary hearing regarding the syringe on the nightstand and what you referenced as a needle on the floor near the amber bag. Do you remember that?
I did.
Okay. And in March 29th, 2011, did you review some of the evidence items in the company of myself and Dr. Rogers to look at these items?
I believe it was around that time. I don't remember the specific date.
Okay, but do you remember viewing the items of evidence?
Yes.
Okay. And was it at that time that Dr. Rogers indicated that the item on the floor was actually an IV catheter?
Correct.
Okay. And was it at that time that you learned that it was an IV catheter and did not fit on the syringe found on the nightstand?
Right.
Okay. Ms. Fleak, did you conduct a perfect investigation in this case?
No.
Have you ever conducted a perfect crime scene investigation?
No. In hindsight, I would always.
No is the answer. Everything thereafter is stricken. Mr. Walgan?